Good morning, lovies. Are you ready for something new? I hope so. I am. You remember that we talked about long A. We said that vowels have two sounds, short sound, which we've been using all this time, and now we're beginning to learn the long sound. And long sound says its name, and that's why on my wall cards I didn't have any picture. I just had A, because what long A says is A. And you remember that I told you long vowels are kind of tricky because there's more than one way to write a long vowel. And you see that I covered up some. There's more to come, but for now, we just started with just the letter A and with the signal. And you remember I told you that most of the time, A, if it's used by itself, is going to be short A. Well, guess what? Today we have I, long I. And same thing. You can see I've covered up some spellings. In fact, look at that. I've covered up more than long A. We'll uncover those, but not today. So today we're going to learn long I spelling, just I by itself, and that signal. I like to call it a signal because E, silent E, is going to be telling I, say your name. All right, let's try some. There's I am. And remember, if you write the word I, talking about yourself, it always has to have a capital. So sometimes instead of saying I am happy, we squash those words together and we take out a letter, and that's called a contraction. And we'll talk about contractions a little bit later. But that says I'm. So when you see that in a book, it's saying I'm. I'm Jude. I'm Eli. I'm Titus. I'm Abe. I'm Noah. I'm. All right. Same thing again. I will. And we make it into a contraction. I'll say instead, I'll. If I say I'll help you, what I really mean is I will help you. I'll help Abe. All right, take a look at this word. You already know the word, but we practice words you know so that when you come to words you do not know, you'll have practice blending. There isn't anything in this word to tell me to say I. There's no signal. So what I really want you to do most of the time is try it with short I. If I did that, it would be finned. Finned. Well, finned isn't a word. So now I'm thinking to myself, I better try long I. Find. And Elijah, let me tell you a story. You like to have stories. When you were younger, we played this game called Find Me. And one day we came over and gave you a little costume. It was a Nemo costume. It was really fat. And you tried to hide under the bed, but you were a little too fat, that Nemo costume. So you went into the closet and you would say, find me, find me. And of course, every time you said find me, it was kind of easy because we could tell where the sound was coming from. And Noah had an Elmo costume. And so Noah went to find you. And he did. And then you'd run away. That was your game, find me. Rhymes with find, kind. If I did it with short, I'd go kind. That's not a word, kind. He's being kind. I'lled. If I did it with short, it would be willed. That's not a word. And wild animals are animals you cannot have for a pet. And when we went to the zoo, all of those animals, if it's an animal in the zoo, I'm pretty sure it's a wild animal. All right, I'm going to help you here. Pilot. And you remember what a pilot is? Sure, a pilot is one that flies the plane. Now, Noah, you really weren't going to fly that plane, but the pilot did let you sit in his seat. That was very kind of him, wasn't it? Title. Sure, that E can't signal because it can't go over 2 letters. And the title of one of my very favorite books is The Very Hungry Caterpillar. That's the title. Title is a name. All right, you ready to do some signals? We have bike, lime. Lime is like a lemon, only it's green. It's a little bit more sour too, I think. Now take a look at this word. The E is not at the end, but it is still going to signal. And then take a look. We've got curly bird there. So I'm going to say spider, spider. And that might be a word you already knew just from looking. Remember, your brain is always taking pictures. One of the things I love about spiders, how God has made them so, they make these beautiful nets, webs. And I always wondered, why doesn't the spider get stuck on his own web? When a fly comes, the fly gets stuck. Well, God made the spider so that 2 kinds of thread come out of his body. And when he's making a web, the first thing he does is he makes those straight lines that go straight across. Those lines are not sticky. Then, out of the same part of his body comes a different kind of thread that is sticky. So all of the circle lines that he makes, they're sticky. So the spider knows if he wants to get to the center of his web, all he has to do is walk on those straight lines. Don't go on any of the circle lines. Spider. There again, there's that signal. It's in the middle. And curly bird. Sure, tiger. Aren't they beautiful? I'm. Do you notice there's only going to be 3 sounds, 4 letters, but that E, that's why they call it silent E. It's not saying anything. What time is it? Spike. Spike. This is a fun word. A spike is something that's pointy. Now, on the bottom of baseball shoes, they have spikes. When your dad played baseball, he had spikes on the bottom. They called them cleats. And what they were there for was to hold the dirt when he ran so that he could run faster. That boy has some spikes in his hair. He made his hair that way. And a spike is also a great big nail that they use when they're making railroad tracks. Spike. I love that word. Smile, smile. Oops, that's everybody. They like to smile. Now take a look. There are 2 things, but I always start at the very beginning, and I notice the SH, and then I notice signal. So, shine. Shine. He's going to shine his shoes. I want you to notice, count how many letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. And how many sounds? Sh-I-N. Only 3 sounds. Sure. Bite. I'd. I'm. How much is a dime worth? How many pennies is a dime worth? Right, it's worth 10 pennies. Fine. That's fine. If you say, oh, that's fine, that means okay. You did fine work. Your work was okay. Ripe. All right. Which of those strawberries is ripe? Sure, the one that's red and ready to eat. Ripe. I'd. Oh, yeah. Elijah, you played that game for a long time that day. I'd. Wine. Wine. They make them from grapes. Pine. Pine. A pine tree. That's how they grow when they're all together. And we use pine trees for Christmas trees. Now, going to do a signal. And remember we did CE. It's going to make that S sound. So I only need two sounds. Ice. 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 Nice. They're being very nice to each other, very kind. Ice. Mice. Okay. If it's just one, what do we call it? A mouse. If it's more than one, we don't say mouses. We change the word altogether and we say mice. Ice. Mice. Ooh. Ice. Rice. And look at how rice is grown. We call those rice paddies. And when people pick the rice, it's very hard work because they have to bend over all day and they have to stand in that water. But when we cook rice, oh, it tastes so good. Rice. Ice. Price. And you know what the price is? That's how much something will cost. Nine fish swim by. Read the whole thing for me. 9 fish swim by. And I counted 9 goldfish. All right, read the whole thing. Did he find a dime? All right, this word family, end. Are you ready? End is a word in itself. Ready? And. B. F. Land. Mand. S. T. Sp. Bland. Trend. Good reading. Do you remember we were in a bookstore that day? Oh my goodness, you would have stayed all day to read all those books if we had had time and I could let you. See you later, alligator. Take care, polar bear.